Hello, and welcome to Higher Results, where business, workforce, and talent intersect. I'm Melodie Reagan, CEO of Eye Workforce, and your host. On Higher Results, we cover all things throughout the life cycle of a worker, all elements of HR, from hiring all the way through to retirement. In addition to that, we do cover career tips and tools. Higher Results airs every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Mountain Time. You can find us on Facebook /Innovation Pavilion, as well as Facebook /Higher Results. All right, today's topic, what are we going to talk about? We are here to talk about performance reviews, how important they are and how they're changing. And our guest today is another team member with Eye Workforce. It's Catherine Barker. She goes by Kat. Kat, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Melody. Thank you, everyone.
So, Kat, do me a favor and share with everyone a little bit about your HR background.
Absolutely. So, I have been in human resources a little over 30 years. I've been in high tech, low tech, and no tech. Domestic, some tech, international, national, all types of industries. And I fancy myself as an HR generalist. I'm probably know a lot about a lot of things and not necessarily in depth on a lot of things, but I do enjoy being a generalist in the HR world.
Yeah, you have some fantastic experience, and I've had the joy of working with you for many, many years. Well, Kat, let's jump into performance reviews. Let's start off with, what is the purpose of a performance review, and should organizations be doing them?
Well, the typical purpose of a performance review is an opportunity for the organization to make sure that their strategic direction is aligned throughout the entire organization. In terms of whether or not a performance review should happen, I think they are good. They are a great tool. I just think that a lot of the pieces and parts of a performance management process need to happen, and unfortunately not everybody is able to do that. So I'm a big believer in doing it, but doing it right and making sure there's a lot of touch points and a lot of feedback.
All right, well, let's dig into that. What does it mean to do a performance review right?
So I believe, in my opinion, you want to set expectations very early on in the employee's relationship. Even when they first start out, make sure that onboarding they understand what the goals of the organization are, what the strategic direction of the organization is. And then there needs to be some check-ins that occur throughout the life cycle of that employee's time with the company. Those check-ins can happen preferably once a month. Employee checking in, checking their goals against what the manager's expectations are, and making sure that they're on progress. And if they're not, then making that as an opportunity for coaching for the leader, for the employee to receive the feedback. I would say then, if at a minimum monthly doesn't make sense, quarterly would definitely be my next fallback position. But nonetheless, feedback needs to happen all the time between the manager and the employees, so that if there's any course correction that needs to happen, there's an ample opportunity to do that.
By the way, I'm really glad that you brought that up. It used to be that you do annual reviews, and that's the way everybody thinks about it, is they think about it that we're supposed to do annual reviews. And I remember when I first started my career, it was the review went kind of like this. Melodie, you're doing these things really great. Now let's talk about all the things that we need to work on. And, what was ironic about it is we might talk about a project that I did 6 months ago that's no longer relevant to me. I'm not even thinking about it. Well, believe it or not, everybody, pay attention to this. Annual reviews are kind of going out the window. Today in the United States, a third of our organizations no longer do annual reviews. And one of the things, Scott, you talked about is we need to do this on a more regular basis. We need more immediate feedback. And when she's talking about doing it monthly means that you have a little bit of a structure. Now, in an ideal world, what I'm going to tell you with the 5 generations that you have in the workforce, you actually want to give more immediate feedback. I do much better. Like Kat and I will be in meetings together with clients or whatever, and we walk out of the meeting, and she and I will collaborate and coordinate she'll tell me pretty immediately, okay, Melody, here's something, go left, go right on this. Or maybe if you phrased it this way, here's a point. And she'll give me pretty quick feedback, and I do the exact same thing for her. And guess what? I remember, I adapt, and I learn immediately instead of doing something incorrectly for the next 6 months. So what you want to do is give regular and ongoing feedback in a very constructive way. Now, one of the other things, I just want to step back. So in terms of doing it right, what are some common mistakes, Kath, that people make with performance reviews? What have you seen?
Well, what happens a lot of times is we have what's called the halo and horns effect. So recency of events that have happened. So if you have an employee that did something really poorly and the rest of the year they did great work, we may think of their work as very, very poor for the entire year, when in fact that's not true. Conversely, the halo effect is the opposite, obviously. The person did a great job, and we think that their work was terrific for the entire year. And in fact, maybe they only did one thing correct. So we've got to be very careful. And if we are doing ongoing check-ins and we're documenting that performance, then we can give them better feedback all the way along the way. And they can, as you say, adapt immediately, and we get results much more quickly.
By the way, I love that. That's actually one of the issues with ongoing annual reviews is that horn halo dynamic. Mm-hmm. That is an excellent point. Okay, so let's talk about this with doing some kind of feedback on an ongoing basis. What kind of documentation do I need for performance management? And making sure in a process, do I have to put it in my employee's file? What are some of the things that I need to do?
Well, you definitely want to keep your notes. I like to do them electronically. I think it makes sense. It's easier to keep track of them, and then you can print them and produce them if you need them. What a starting point would be the employee's goals. And any past discussions, if as you maybe month 3 you get to a goal and you understand they're off track, maybe month 4 when you speak to them you say, hey, where are we at on this goal? Did you achieve what you wanted to achieve? What was the impact of this goal? Did you meet that impact, and what were the measurable results, if you will? And then keeping that information throughout the year, because if in fact you are going to do an annual performance review, you want to make sure you're capturing all that data throughout the year. So capturing it electronically is a really great way to do it, and then making sure that you go back and circle back on any deficiencies that might have had from the last meeting that you had with that employee.
So by the way, one of the other ones where she is talking about the documentation, each organization creates its own performance review form. Things for you to think about. If you have a job description and there are core responsibilities, how is that worker performing against those core responsibilities? Have you set up specific goals that they should be achieving? Those goals can change monthly, quarterly, etc. For example, maybe this month I'm supposed to launch a product. Maybe next month I am supposed to be putting together a marketing plan. Maybe whatever those goals are that you have. And then the other thing that I frequently see in these forms is it speaks to the organization's culture. Are they demonstrating the values of the organization? Are they staying within alignment? Those are things that are really important. Consistency, by the way. If you're going to do more regular feedback, it's not about changing it up every month. You have to have some consistency with what you're doing, and this information should be put in the employee's file, whether it's electronic or manual, whatever works for you. It is something that you should be documenting and you should be filing. Now, the other one that I'd love to talk about that you do a fantastic job of describing, lots of organizations and leaders, they do performance reviews, but they don't know really how to do them. And what I can start with and tell you pretty immediately, it's not about talking at somebody. If you're going to do a really good performance review, you're going to talk with them. So, Kat, how do I do a really good performance review?
Great question. Well, you want to first put that employee at ease. They need to know that performance reviews are things that are going to happen continuously throughout their life with your organization, and you make sure that you set the stage. You have a good place for the two of you to sit and talk uninterrupted, and it's more of a conversation. It's a coaching session, and it's also a conversation. You're asking them to tell you what they've done related to those particular goals and how they see that performance, and if there's any course correction in their mind that they need to make, what their steps are around that. What do they want to do to fix that, to make it better? It's more of a conversation, and it shouldn't be confrontational. It shouldn't be argumentative. It needs to be strictly that, a coaching and conversational type of setting.
By the way, I love that. One of the things that I know you're always telling our clients, go to another room. Don't do it in your office. Don't do it in the normal places. Get a conference room or whatever. Don't do it over lunch. Focus, have that focused conversation. The other thing that I think is really important with your performance reviews, this isn't your opportunity to just say, here's what you're doing wrong. These are development sessions. So I love that you call it coaching. This is your opportunity to help your employee develop their skills to be better. Make it a conversation. Find out what they want, but also tell them what you need from a business perspective and how they can do better. And you want to support them. This is also your opportunity to talk to them about training and development and how they can continue to grow and evolve. And I'm going to tell you, for me as a leader, if you even talk to my team, I'm chronically in feedback. And, everybody on my team pretty much knows where they stand all the time. So don't just think that your feedback is tied to your performance reviews. I am always, how do we develop? Where do you want to go? And then I give that immediate feedback because that's the way that we operate as human beings. Now, Kat, I want to talk about one other trend that is really growing. Historically, we've always tied compensation to performance reviews. And everybody's kind of used to, it's my performance review, it's time for a raise or whatever else is the case. But we're decoupling that. We're taking it apart. So why is that? And is that something that all organizations should consider? Should they decouple performance reviews with compensation?
I think it depends upon the organization. I think a good performance management process makes a lot of sense, and I think for some organizations it's very, very helpful. But a lot of the high-tech organizations that I've worked with, I think uncoupling the pay from that actual performance review process actually makes sense. And I would like to see more organizations focus on paying for performance from a standpoint of who's bringing the most value to the team. If you're providing great feedback throughout the year and the employee knows how to course correct, at the end of the year, let's pay an employee based on what they've brought to the company and the impact of the changes or the impact of the goals that they've achieved, as opposed to just saying, yeah, you've got your 3% raise, because that can be as much of a disincentive as even an incentive for many. But depending upon the type of organization will really base the impact.
Fantastic. By the way, a person's performance, just like you said, Kat, is also a portion of it actually is a portion of what drives their compensation. But it's one influence. There are market influences, there are business influences, and then it is the individual and where they're at. So organizations are decoupling these because it isn't a one-to-one relationship. And like Kat said, you have to figure out what is best for your organization. Now, one last thing before we end today, I want to do a little bit of a pivot. We've talked about what businesses do in performance and performance reviews. Let's talk about the individual. Let's turn this around. So you're a person who's coming in for a performance review. It's a two-way street. You said it's a conversation. So what should I, for myself, be doing to prepare myself for my performance review?
I think that's a great question, Melody. Well, what you'll want to do is talk to the manager about, what am I doing that you like? What don't you like? What do you want me to continue? You've probably heard this called stop, start, continue, but it's really a great exercise. And again, it's conversational. What do you like about the work that I'm providing? Am I creating the impact and the results that you were expecting? Is this what the organization expects from me? So it's that type of a thing. And then be ready with some suggestions, because you've observed, you've been listening to the feedback that you're getting. You should be able to take those suggestions and give those to your manager and say, here's some things I think we could be doing. Maybe you have some recommendations on product or what have you. So you need to be ready to be a business partner to your manager.
By the way, I love that. I think every single worker, I totally love that. Every single worker in an organization should be a business partner. So when you're coming in for that review, be prepared for yourself. And here's the other one. Anymore, it's like learning your craft. Learning your craft requires constant development because the world's changing. Come prepared with, here's some things that I think for my craft, the role that I'm in, that I need to continue developing in. And, talk with your boss about ways that you can go about your own training and development. You might find certain courses that you want to take. Come in, be prepared to make those recommendations. And you know what? Ask yourself where you want to go in your career. And based on where you want to go in your career and with the organization, come prepared to discuss that with your supervisor or boss and let them help you along your journey. So it's a two-way street and it's a two-way conversation. Well, Kat, as our show is coming to an end here, is there anything else on performance management and performance reviews that you would like to highlight? And kind of like, what's that really important thing that we should be doing?
Great. I think the most important question that a manager can ask their employee is, where is it that you want to go? What is it that you want to be doing?
Yeah.
What does the future look like for you? And how can I help you get there? You've heard the expression, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Well, you can apply that to the performance management process.
Fantastic. And then my little pointer before I go is, you know what? This is your career. Yeah, come prepared for your performance reviews. It's not just about your boss. Come prepared. Let them know what you need to continue to grow and develop. So with that, you guys, we're going to go ahead and end this show. And I want to share with you again, we are on every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Mountain. You can find us on Facebook.com/Innovation Pavilion or /Higher Results. You can also get past episodes on my website at eye2eyeworkforce.com. And just so you know, we are setting up podcasts so that you can download and just listen to the audio of the show. So don't worry if you've missed a show. Come online and we can get you a copy. So have a great day. And here is, as always, Higher Results, and we'll see you on the internet. Thank you for being here.